Hello everyone, I'm Andy Raffel from eTechnics.com, and today we have our first ever system from CyberpowerPC or CyberPower Systems. Now, you may have seen coverage that we've actually done for CyberPower when we've gone to CES in Las Vegas, but we've never actually had a chance of working with them. So after speaking to the US department and speaking to a couple of partners that CyberPower team up with in the UK, we finally got talking with them and started, you know, an agreement where we'd have a look at one of their systems to sort of get the ball rolling a little bit. So we spoke to them and they saw a couple of reviews that we've done in the past for the likes of Dino PC, PC Specialist, and we've also got one on the in the process of from overclockers. So it's nice that we're getting this varied amount of system integrators, so we can actually, you know, start looking at varied systems from different price points, because as much as everyone loves looking at the sort of really high-end water-cooled systems, that's not the be-all and end-all, because you actually find that most people tend to buy the sort of mid-range systems, and that's pretty much what we've got here. So I'm not going to talk too much about this without actually, you know, showing you what's inside, but from first glance I know that this system's got the Corsair Air A540 chassis, which is a very, very unique chassis. You have to agree. We have done a review on it. We was actually the world first on that review. Other specs include a Core i7 4670K. So obviously we have got Haswell. That's clocked to 4.5 gigahertz. We've got an NVIDIA GTX 760 graphics card, so sort of mid-range of the sort of latest generation architecture from NVIDIA. Windows 8 64-bit. I'm not going to even comment on that. I'm not a big fan of Windows 8 unless you have a touchscreen device or a tablet, but you can obviously customize things. So if you don't want Windows 8, when you come to buying this system, you can customize it and put Windows 7 on there if you prefer. It's entirely up to you. And that's one of the joys of buying from a system integrator. Now, we also have 8 gig of Corsair Vengeance Pro 2133 megahertz, which is going to be more than enough for, you know, even the most extreme gamers. Gigabyte Z87 HD3 motherboard, which is sort of on your lower end of the mid-range, if that makes sense. It's not your sort of bottom basic budget, but it is sort of that next step up. Corsair 750 watt power supply. We've got a 1TB SATA 3 hard drive, Samsung 840 series 250 gig. I think it's 256 gig. You know, with SSD sometimes you get 240, 256. I think with this it's 256 gig, but we will check that as well. Corsair H60 Cooler, so sort of stepping slightly into that water-cooled all-in-one kind of world. So if you're not familiar with water-cooled systems, then, you know, this is a nice step to that. And yeah, Corsair power supply as well, which, as we know, are great for stability and things like that as well. So you are going to notice, you probably can't see it from here, but the box, even though it's got this massive fragile sticker on it, whoever the courier company was didn't really take much pride in it. There are a few sort of dents and dings on the outer box, but luckily I can see through the side there is another box which is going to be housed in the system, and what looks to be another smaller box which I'm guessing is going to be accessories, manuals, that type of thing. So if my wonderful glamorous assistant could pass me the knife, I can get this unboxed and show you exactly what comes included inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep you there for now, because this isn't exactly the heaviest, largest box that we've ever had come in. So I should be able to actually do this all by myself. So let's undo this and have a look at exactly what we get included inside. Now obviously when you buy from a system integrator as opposed to buying a system and, you know, sort of building it yourself, there are going to be some major differences. One of the main reasons you're going to buy from a system integrator is obviously down to the fact that you're going to get a warranty, you're going to get technical support. You haven't got to build it yourself, which is obviously a nice thing as well. So you do expect, you know, a little bit of sort of extra quality and things like that. So inside we have lots of different boxes, which is mainly extra packaging material. So instead of using foam and things like that, which can obviously break, we get sort of, you know, lots of different type boxes, which is going to be a lot more sort of sturdier than your average sort of foam packaging. So you do get a few sort of bits of packaging and stuff, but the main thing in here is cardboard. If I go around to the other side, we'll see what else we've actually got, and if it's just packaging material or whether it's actually going to be components that are actually used in this. So once again, more cardboard boxes. So we've got a lot of cardboard boxes to keep everything nicely packaged and protected even more. And we do have one box which isn't packaging material. It's a little bit dented, I've got to admit. This is down to the courier company. Over this side is a very nice big dent. This is nothing to do with CyberPower, and they're probably actually going to be mad at me for showing this, but we have to obviously show it as it comes in. So we've got the Z87 HD3 motherboard. This is the latest Intel chipset Z87, which supports Haswell, socket 1150. Like I said, this isn't your budget board, this is sort of the lower end of the sort of mainstream segment. Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side. Obviously inside there you have got all your instruction guides, and you have got your various sort of driver installation CDs and things like that. So what I'm going to do now though is I'm going to stop things so I don't look like an idiot trying to pull this heavy computer out of here and probably falling over. So I'm going to stop it, we'll get this opened, and we'll see exactly what we've got going on inside. We've now got it fully unboxed, and as you can see, it is one probably of one of the nicest chassis I've ever seen. Now, we have reviewed this in the past. We had the world exclusive on it, as I said, and as you can see, it is an absolutely glorious chassis, and a very, very unique one as well. Obviously, you get a nice side window, which you can see there is some packaging material. Now, this packaging material is actually expanding foam. So what happens is it goes in, it expands and sort of molds itself around the graphics card, which is great because obviously that helps protect the graphics card when it's in transit, especially after you've seen the state of the box that we had. There obviously could have been a lot of problems, but this has obviously now protected that. So you get a nice side window panel. We will take this side off so we can show you the components inside, but I don't really want to stress too much about the chassis because we have looked at it in detail on our fully fledged review. But sort of having a quick look around, you can see that there are some very, very nice features. So if I just move this ever so slightly, you can see one of the main features that CyberPower has added on is this nice little case badge just here with the CyberPower branding. So it's not sort of, you know, massive in-your-face branding, but it's a nice subtle little touch from CyberPower. You can see that we've got a Blu-ray disc drive and DVD rewriter as well. We've got 2 USB ports, we've got our audio, microphone and headphone jacks, power, reset, and a little LED as well. Nice Corsair logo on here, lots of ventilation coming up the top and on the front as well. So, you know, this should be a real good chassis for the components that CyberPower have chosen as to, you know, keeping things nice and cool and at their optimum level. You can see if I move it around again, on this side we have just got a sort of blank metal sheet and a few ventilation ports down here as well. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to tilt this back round, we're going to take the packaging out and everything, and then we can have a look at exactly what's inside this machine. Now that we've taken the side panel off, it does reveal exactly what we got inside. And the first thing that I want to commend CyberPower on doing is their amazing cable management. Obviously the chassis has a lot to do with this because there are plenty of cable management holes. We've actually got 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and another 2 on top, and then there's a little cutout area down here as well. Now obviously with the power supply being on the sort of other side of the chassis behind the motherboard, that does make things a lot easier for cable management, and CyberPower have really harnessed the ability of what this chassis can do in terms of keeping things neat and tidy. Especially when you've got a window on the side, you want everything to remain, you know, nice looking, and especially if you've got LEDs and things like that, which is one thing that I want to highlight. CyberPower have actually fitted this chassis with a nice LED strip going down here, which plugs into the little module here and plugs straight into the computer. So that's going to look really, really nice at sort of, you know, giving that nice feel off the rest of the components. Now, going through the components, first thing I want to say is obviously the chassis does come with some included ventilation. So you have got a large fan here and here, and then there's also one on top. Now it does come with another fan on the back, and what they've actually done is obviously put in a Corsair H60 all-in-one CPU cooler, and from what we've seen from other system integrators, CyberPower have actually fitted it correctly with the hoses at the bottom. Many times we've seen it where they've got the hoses at the top. That obviously restricts the flow of the water and so forth. But you can see that there's lots of room around the CPU socket on the Gigabyte Z87 HD3, so no problem with, you know, obstructing the memory or any of the other components. Really, really nice sort of setup here. Now looking at the memory, I did state earlier that it was Corsair Vengeance Pro, but that was actually wrong. The spec sheet we got was wrong, and we have actually got 2 4 gig modules, so this comprises
is making a 8GB kit, and that is the Kingston HyperX Predator 2133. Nice sort of tight cache latencies and really good high performance memory. Now 8GB should be enough for even the most extreme gamers, unless you're playing you know, some really intensive games, maybe even Skyrim. You're going to possibly need a little bit more, but that's the joy of buying from a system integrator. You can easily upgrade this memory when you come to buying it and pay the extra for a 16GB kit instead. Now moving down, the graphics card that we've got here is an MSI gaming graphics card. So it is a GTX 760, as we said, but when you actually come to buy this system, you might get a slightly different card. So they list it as an NVIDIA GTX 760. Now, whoever they've obviously got as their distributor and main partners will depend on which particular card you got at the time. They might have an amazing deal on the gaming twin Frozer graphics card, so you're going to get one of them. On the next instant, you might get a reference-based card. But either way, you're going to be getting a GTX 760. And if it happened to turn up with a gaming edition twin Frozer, happy days. You know, you're going to be a little bit more happy about your chosen choice of graphics card there. See, the rest of the expansion slots are completely clear, so if you wanted, you could add in expansion cards, TV cards, USB cards, and so forth. Down the bottom is where we've got our storage, so we have got a Seagate Barracuda 1TB drive. It's on these rails, which are obviously included with the Corsair chassis, and just pulling that, you can actually slide the drive out. And as you can see just at the back here, it is completely hot swappable. So the docking station bit is there, and it's just a matter of pushing it back in. 1TB hard drive, Seagate Barracuda. We've used them before, we trust them, they are reliable, and they're fairly quiet as well. On this side is the Samsung SSD, same story. You can basically just slide it out, and there's your hot swappable dock there as well. Push it back in, and there we go, off, ready to play. So yeah, motherboard, we have got the Z87 HD3. You can see that the colour scheme all sort of matches in quite nicely. It's like a dark brown, close to black PCB, which goes nicely with the graphics card. The sort of black on the memory, and everything else in the chassis being a nice sort of black and grey colour as well. So what I'm going to do now is obviously turn the chassis round a little bit. Now it is worth noting, when I took the side panel off, it is all thumb screws. So looking around the back, actually, may as well mention that. You can see the exhaust fan for the H60 CPU cooler. Plenty of ventilation down here. All of the expansion bays, which you can obviously take out and reuse, are all ventilated as well. We've got our graphics card with 2 DVI ports. We've also got a HDMI port and a full-size DisplayPort connector as well. And then there's another ventilated expansion port here. Looking at the rear I/O, we've got plenty of ports for our audio, gigabit LAN, 4 USB 3.0 ports, HDMI, DVI, and even for the old-fashioned folk, we've got a VGA port as well. There are 2 USB 2.0 ports and a combo PS2 mouse keyboard port. Plenty more ventilation up here and also down here, and then we've got our power supply at the bottom, which is fully ventilated as well. So they really have sort of taken care in terms of the components they've chose to make sure they give full ventilation. Even the graphics card's got a few ventilation ports. Once again, we've got thumb screws on that side to take off the side panel. So we just put them down, take the side panel off, and then I'll turn the chassis around a little bit so you can see exactly what it looks like from this side. Now obviously with the side that we spoke about with all the components, you want that as neat and tidy as possible. So the other side may not be as neat, but there's not really much you can do about that. But because there isn't a side window on this side, you're not really going to be too fussed. So looking on this side, we can see that the drive is a Lighton drive. Generally it's Lighton or Sony or some other sort of variant of brand. Lighton are good, they're reliable, we trust them, so we're glad that we chose that CyberPower actually chose that. All of the cable management, you can see they've done a fairly good job. They have cable tied stuff together, they have sort of utilised all of the relevant cable management holes and ports and things like that as well. Power supply, you can see it isn't modular, but for this type of system, sorry, it is modular, and they have used sort of the majority of the ports. There's only one of the connectors that they haven't used, so we've got the peripheral and SATA, the 6+2 PCI Express, and the 8+4+4 CPU. And then we've got the hardwired 24 pin as well. So yeah, really nice job on the cable management there. And then you can see that we've got a few different bays here as well for SSDs and so forth. So overall, I'm really happy with what CyberPower have done with this system. They really have chosen some strong sort of components from a variety of different brands. You know, we've got a Gigabyte motherboard, we've got an MSI graphics card, we've got the Seagate Barracuda, Samsung SSD, Corsair cooling, and of course the wonderful and glamorous Corsair Air 540 chassis. So all I can really say is if you do want to check out the performance on this chassis, then you're going to have to head over to etechnics.com and check the full review, where we've done a variety of different benchmarks ranging from gaming across to sort of normal system benchmarks as well. And there will be links on obviously where you can buy this as well. So if you are watching this on YouTube, check the description below, and if you are actually watching this on eTechnics, you're already on the right place, and you can read the full review and check out how this system performed in our own tests. Thank you very much. Until next time, when we will have another system review for you, please check out etechnics.com, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our Facebook, where it's updated frequently every single day. And for now, I'm Andy Raffel from etechnics.com. Thank you very much.